everything in order. And I didn't even look at my shirt. I got a little dust on it. I'm John Brown, and welcome to the John Browner Podcast. I'm here Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until whenever I feel like this thing is over. And today is going to be a real test of that. I got a lot coming up for you guys on the show today. We got a lot of conversation to have about things in sports that I have a lot of questions about what's going on with the Padres, but I also may have an answer to one of my own questions, and I'll be interested to see what you guys think about that. In addition to that, I want to talk about the return. I don't want to call him the Death Star. I don't, because I don't think this is the Empire Fights Back, but Darth Vader has returned. I'll explain more in detail about that. But first, as always, if you want to be a part of the show, head over to the Gmail account, the John Browner Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to get anything on the show, if you want to talk to me on the show, if you want to have something long form read, or you can always head over to the chat pack and holler at your boy directly in the chat, which we always go down our chat and we always talk to you guys. So you're a huge part of the show. That's why we're here. That's why we keep coming here. And so that's why I always make sure you guys are a huge part of the show. In addition to that, I'm not wearing anything today, but the John Browner Podcast Shop is the place where you can go and buy something. T-shirts, preferably. The other stuff, the sweaters, the shorts, very good quality. I have some. Where is it? Let me see right here. Let me hold something up. This right here came from that shop. Very comfortable, very reliable. Very nice. Very, very nice. So I always talk about the Sporting Tribune as well. The Sporting Tribune is where this show can be seen. I also take part in the Sporting Tribune tonight. We got a lot of stuff coming up with the Sporting Tribune and things to really get the other guys involved and start getting some of those guys on this program and some fall programming we're working on, some live broadcasts we're working on. And so shout out to all the people at the Sporting Tribune where this is showing. This podcast is on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitch. It's on X. It's on KNICKS. So it's pretty much everywhere, and you can also download it on iTunes if you miss it. And like I always say, if you're watching on YouTube, please do the show a favor and subscribe to the program. I'd appreciate it. And if you can't subscribe and you're watching on X, just retweet the show or like the show so we continue to grow and get it to people who have no idea what's happening here. Now, today was a what up? Oh, JD, what up, bro? What is that? JD says, yo, finally able to make it live. Padres suck. I told y'all all their ceiling is the last wild card spot. The season doesn't matter anyway. Have you seen the Dodgers crushing everyone already? Shout out to Tito. Tito in the building. Chat pack in the building. Look, man. Okay, let's do this. I'll start with this. Where were we? No. Here. Yesterday is a big indication for me of what has to happen going forward for the San Diego Padres. You're not going to win the division. I don't think there's going to be some wild trades to save you because I honestly think that there's no trade that can save the Padres' everyday lineup. I think the biggest thing that the Padres' opening day lineup can do for itself is hit the ball. That's it. That's all. There's no other conversations to be had. This is not rocket science. You need the guys who you're paying to hit the ball. And to me, I think the key to this, going forward now, it has to be Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill. That's it. They led the way to victory yesterday. That's got to be the road to victory now. This has got to be a Cagney and Lacey situation, a Thelma and Louise, a Red and Meth. This got to be wherever you see him, you see me situation. These two dudes have got to take whatever the leadership role is of this team, and they've got to be the two people that make it happen. In no particular order, these two dudes have to be the way forward for the San Diego Padres. We've talked about many struggles to exhaustion, and I don't want to do, like I said, I don't want to come here every day bashing Manny Machado because that ain't going to get nobody nowhere. But what we can do as we continue to watch this team, as the Padres continue to be one of the best selling tickets in baseball, what we can do is hope that these two dudes begin to show you what they can do going forward. This is one of the things where I said this on the previous iteration of the show in Kaplan and Crew. I've said this here on the John Browner podcast. Once you reimagine what you expect from Fernando Tatis Jr., you can actually evaluate him as a baseball player, and he has been their best player this year. You have to reevaluate what you expect from him. Remove the power. Remove the power. Once you don't talk about the home runs, he's got two. I got the count up still. Once you remove that, the dude is worth the money that he's being paid. He's one of the few people on this roster right now that you can honestly say that guy is earning his take. That list of guys earning their take on the Padres roster right now are few and far between. And I'm talking about your big money guys, your Ramon Laureanos and your Gavin Sheets of the world. Those dudes are doing their thing, and that's awesome. But you're not paying them long-term money to be a pillar in your organization. You're doing that for Fernando Tatis Jr., and you paid Jackson Merrill early as well. So therefore, to me, you got to look at it this way. Manny not coming to save you. Whoever wants to be the leader of this team, now's the time to grab it. Because this boat is adrift. And yesterday was a glimpse of, if that's the way forward, we might be able to make it out of this by the end of the season and something respectable. Because losing 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 10, you cannot keep going throughout the season like that. If Jackson Merrill can become what we envision him to be, then I think those two guys at the top of the lineup can steer you in a positive direction and can help you be competitive. Because Tatis's ability on the base paths are some of the best in the league. Jackson Merrill has good running ability. So if you're able to get those two guys on and those two guys moving on the bases, that's how you generate runs. And what's the number one thing we've all been pounding the sand about? They don't score enough runs. This season has been very, very tough. It's been very tough because if you're watching the season like I'm watching the season, it hasn't been the manager who I was suspect about to start the season. He's done a very good job. So I got no issues with him. The fillers, the guys who they went out and got to fill the hole in left, they brought Ramon Laureano back to fill the hole in left field. Left field is not the problem. The problem is third base. The problem is shortstop. The problem is catcher. But on most major league teams, catcher is an issue for everybody. So I'm not going to, raise the flag on the catcher. Gavin Sheets is giving you something. They got rid of the Castellanos, because I ain't got to work on that name no more. They got rid of him, whether that was mutual or not. Who cares at this point? But you have got to get these two guys rowing forward. These have to be the two guys running out of the dugout first. This has to be the new dynamic duo in Major League Baseball if this is going to work. I say it on this show a lot. There is going to be a long Major League Baseball season every year with this team. And we cannot freak out over, 2 games here or 2 games there. But we're past the 2-game point. We are in the trend portion of the season. And it's not a good trend. The habits that appear to be forming with this team's inability to score, they're dead last in almost every hitting category in Major League Baseball. And they have one of the highest salaries in Major League Baseball. This is a top 10 salary team. And this is a top 4 attendance team. So this is not about support, because regardless of the performance, when they play at home, tickets are being sold. Seats are being filled. So this isn't a situation where they don't feel the love. The local media is not the type of media that's going to, peel through your garbage in your personal life to try to figure out what's going on. They tend to let you be. So they're just not hitting. Xander Bogaerts has always been an up and down issue. This is, and I've said this before, and I will continue to say this. This is the best you're going to get from him. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that. I'm sorry if the amount of money that they're paying him is clouding how you can accept what you're going to get, because no one's taking that contract. He's batting 226. Nobody's taking that contract. And I know your question is probably, how can you not be optimistic about Xander Bogaerts kind of figuring something out, but you're optimistic about Jackson Merrill? Because Jackson Merrill's younger, man, and that's all I got. I'm reaching for anything. What up, Biggie? I'm reaching for anything. I'm grasping for anything out of the air in hopes that this organization can find a way to be led by the two guys who, by the way, as well, most people want to see succeed. Most people own Tatis jerseys. Most people own Merrill jerseys. A lot of people own Manny jerseys, but I wouldn't wear it in public right now. Because like I told y'all, for him to come out of this and for this to be respectable, he's going to have a Godzilla-like season from June 19th to September something. And I don't see it happening. And this is the erosion. This is the erosion of the non-steroid era baseball player. And this is a fact. These 10-year contracts for 30-year-old guys, they're stupid. They've always been stupid. Mike Trout's contract was stupid. Albert Pujols' contract was stupid. Aaron Judge's contract is stupid. Bryce Harper's contract is stupid. Major League Baseball, and I don't want to talk about the lockout because we will have plenty of time to talk about the lockout. But you're in a situation now where the NBA owners were once in. You've now got to create a CBA to protect you from yourself. I wholeheartedly believe that's what we're heading for in the Major League Baseball CBA. There will be games missed. I think there's going to be a lockout because these 10-year contracts are killing these franchises. The Phillies are playing better, but they've got a guy on their team making $400 million. The Padres got two $300 million guys and another $200 million guy who they signed early, by the way, and now that looks like a deal. They signed Jackson Merrill early, and that looks like that may not pay off. But that's hope. That's hope we have in Jackson Merrill, who's still making plays defensively. Fernando Tatis Jr. is more comfortable at second base, like I said the entire time. He's now started to play better. Besides Manny hitting a home run once every other week, I don't see the production changing. I don't see him getting hot. He's always been a notorious slow starter, but it's June. It's June. We're almost halfway through the season. The Padres' record is 38-35. That is 73 games. We are past slow starts. And we can talk about the bullpen, which is one of the best in baseball, but we can talk about what we can do with the starters, but the starters are hurt. You knew what was going on with Yu Darvish before the season started. You knew what was going on with Joe Musgrove before the season started. These are things we knew. We didn't know Nick Pivetta would go down. Those are your three frontline starters gone, and now you're hoping to get something from Lucas Giolito, Walker Buehler, who, by the way, in my opinion, they've held up. For what you got, where you got them from and what you got them for, they've held up. Michael King has held up. Michael King has been good. Now, what are you expecting from Michael King? And when he's supposed to be your third starter, now he's your number one? I don't know. But I don't know when these other three guys are coming back who you're paying a lot of money to. That, like, Joe Musgrove has been literally absent. You're paying Jake Cronin. By the way, Jake Cronenworth has had the longest concussion I have ever seen a baseball player get, and I didn't even see him get the concussion. Are there no articles written about this? Does no one talk about this? Like, am I the only person? I mean, I don't want to see him play because he was struggling so bad when he left. What level of concussion does Jake Cronenworth have that we literally haven't seen him. And I tell you, listen, JD, you're saying something. You're saying something that I don't want to hear. If I'm the new owner, if I'm the new owner, as a fan of the team. JD says hopefully the new owners can eat a portion of one or two of these contracts and get rid of one within the next few years. Highly doubtful, but I guess they will never know. Let me tell you something right now. If I just paid, you know, billions of dollars for this team, I ain't eating nothing. I ain't eating nothing. The people who I'm already making dinner for better clean those plates. I'm not eating. Yes, I didn't pay these guys. I didn't have these contracts written under my ownership, but I got them now, and I got to do what's best with them. I think these owners are well off. I don't think this is a situation where they're going to be short on cash. No, but at the same time, if you just bought something, you know that there's some sunken cost in it. But a 300 million sunken cost on two players? No, man, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I hear a lot of whispers about being buyers at the deadline or sellers at the deadline in this conversation. Buy who? Buy who? For what? And again, this is the bicycle that we're on. This is the stationary bike that we're sitting on, hoping that it'll take us places. You have in your everyday lineup, who are you taking out? You have Merrill, you got Tatis, you got Bogarts, you got Manny, you got Sheets, you got who I'm forget. Hold on, let me look down. Let me look down this list. Uh, but I guess yeah. Okay, so you got those six guys. You got those. So where are you going to find three more players to play when Ramon Laureano comes back? That's seven guys. That's seven guys. So who are you? What are you gonna get a catcher? Gavin Sheets plays first. Gavin Sheets DHs. You gonna find somebody to platoon in right field? They already got that. The answer is for the guys you have to play better. And then people go, well, pitching. You know how expensive pitching is? Do you know how expensive pitching is on the open market when everybody's looking for it? It's like trying to find a house on a good deal. You're not going to do that. You're going to pay market price for starting pitching in any trade market. And so, Graham, that's a very good point. But I got to tell you, free agent. Graham says free agent at the end of the year too. So Laureano is gone. I will worry about that at the end of that. And again, this is where the new owners. This is where the new owners come in, where you have to kind of figure out what's going on with who we're going to pay. Because if the new ownership does have enough money to stretch, you can then look around and say, okay, I mean, Laureano's not going to be that expensive. I don't believe. You can bring some of those guys back. So you can bring the Gavin Sheets of the world's back. You can bring the Ramon Laureanos of the world's back. Samad Taylor, like these guys, you can bring these guys back. But if you're talking about being a buyer at the deadline, where are you going to play the person? Part of the issue now to start the season was that these guys couldn't get a rhythm because they couldn't get a consistent number of at-bats. I think that's why Castellanos is gone, because he wanted consistent at-bats. He could not find those here. This this idea of trading for Tariq Skubal is bad money behind more bad money. Tariq Skubal has an injured arm. Now, unless they'll take, unless the best deal you can get is some minor league guys that we have that you can throw their way and they'll be happy with that. But if you're trying to get a boatload of young farm talent for Tariq Skubal, I'll pass. I'm not trading for a guy with a bad arm. No, I wouldn't sign him either, by the way. I wouldn't sign him any offseason either. Because again, he's going to have a arm surgery before this is all said and done. So are you going to pay this man $300 million, $250 million as a starting pitcher for him to miss the next year? And then probably miss another year somewhere down the line of that contract. What kind? No, I'm out on Scooble. We got enough problems with overpaid guys who go invisible as pitchers. You Darvish. We got enough of that. Tariq Scooble's a great talent, but he appears to be injured, and I would rather somebody else go on that road. I would rather somebody else take on that mission. This is a situation where the Padres at with pitching, this is a general manager issue. Prove your worth. Prove you're worth the money that they paid you when they re-signed you. I'm an A.J. Preller guy, always have been. But I got to tell you, this is where he has to earn some of that money because it's his responsibility to find pitching. But for this to go forward, it has to be Tatis. It has to be Merrill. We can't keep waiting for older players to somehow find the young groove. That's stationary bike behavior. It is. It's legit stationary bike behavior. Have you ever gone to the gym and rode the bike and they have like this, as you're riding the stationary bike, the bike is on a trail. So there's a screen, and as you pedal, that's how fast you go through the trail. That's what the Padres season is. It feels like you're going somewhere, but in reality, you're not. You're not. You look like you're pedaling, and the screen shows you going through a forest. You're riding through the city. In reality, you're not. And I don't know who there's no one to blame for this other than the people who are not hitting. Because again, you're not getting beat 12-3. You're not getting beat 10-2. You're getting beat 3-0 consistently. You're getting beat 4-1 consistently. You're getting beat, 2-1 religiously. This isn't a pitching issue. This is not a pitching issue. This is a player performance issue. This is an everyday player performance issue. When they start getting beat 8-0, 10-2, then we can talk about the pitching. Because listen, I can go down it. If you want, I can go down their last couple of games 6-1. They won your 6-1. These are the scores and the losses. 3-2, 3-0. 7-3, 5-3, 7-3, 5-0, 6-4, 3-2, 3-2, 4-2, 9-4. Let me go back more losses. 3-0, 4-3, 3-0, 5-2. There's your problem. This, as a non-statistic guy, as a guy who doesn't want to get involved in splits and bebop boops, and I'm on Manny's side when it comes to this. I don't even know what most of that stuff means. This man makes $300 million playing baseball. He doesn't know what the statistics mean. Manny Machado has been playing baseball his entire adult life. It is his life business. It's literally made his family generational wealth. And there are so many statistics, he doesn't even know what they mean. And it's his lifeblood of his business. Come on, man. Come on. You guys can run around with them stats all y'all want, man. What I'm saying is the score. And I can watch this and I can tell you that the issue here, simple and plain, is the hitters aren't hitting. They're the worst hitting team in Major League Baseball. And until that changes, none of this is going to change. So Tatis and Merrill have to be Batman and Robin. They got to be Crockett and Tubbs, bruh. They got to get us off the stationary bike. They got to get us riding through Balboa Park, dog. They got to get us back in the bike lane. They got to get us off the Peloton, dog. Insane. Now let me talk about another thing. So we've had the fortune, and I mean that in the best way possible, as a San Diego Padre viewer and fan over the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years, of having positive ownership. The New York Knicks won the NBA championship, and you couldn't even get the title back in the state lines before James Dolan started talking crazy left and right. Now, I don't know where some of you guys stand on this, but James Dolan has already come out and said, the president has invited us to the White House. I have been friends with him for over 30 years. Then we will be going to the White House. It's almost as if James Dolan hasn't read down his players' timelines. It's almost as if James Dolan doesn't know his players. For James Dolan to say that the Knicks will be visiting the White House is a fight waiting to happen. Because some of these Knicks, from their social media posts, they ain't going. They said they caught Jose Alvarado coming out of something. I think it was TMZ. They asked him about going to the White House. He said, "I'm going wherever my team going," which is the right thing for him to say. He's a free agent. They're asking Karl-Anthony Towns to take less money. Jalen Brunson took less money, which is a smart thing to do for Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson knows he needs the help. I think, in all actuality, I think Cat will take less money because they want to keep the team together. But it sucks that they're trying to keep the team together for such a shitty owner, man. This team got built because James Dolan was in Las Vegas working on the Sphere because he's a musician. He sees himself as a musician. So James Dolan spent his time away from the organization building the Sphere in Las Vegas. That's what he was doing. While Leon West was building the team. I'm sorry, Leon Rose and Worldwide West were building the New York Knicks, signing free agents. He was just signing checks. That's all he was doing. And now James Dolan is already publicly telling you now, because people are asking him questions because he think he did something as the owner and he won a championship. Oh, we're not going in the second apron. He said, I'll write the biggest check I can write as long as it doesn't mean I'm going in the second apron. As a Knicks fan, enjoy that championship, man. Enjoy it. Enjoy it until the first day of training camp. Drink, party, have a good time. Steal garbage cans off the street like y'all doing because they're Knicks colors. Go wild, New York. Because it might be another 75 years till y'all win another one. The idea that James Dolan is already getting his team in political battles about going to the White House, me personally, I think they should stop doing it. The way politics have now become so divisive, no matter who the president is, whether it's Joe Biden or whether it's Donald Trump or Barack Obama beforehand, this has become too divisive. If I were the White House should stop doing it, but they won't because it's a great photo op for whomever the president is, especially if the president is a Knicks fan. Again, Donald Trump attended the game. The only game they lost, by the way. Let that speak for itself. But as a fan of the team, for them to not want to come visit you in the White House as president, that's rough. But James Dolan is a bad owner. James Dolan is a terrible owner. And James Dolan is back, and James Dolan is back with a championship. So you can't tell him shit this offseason. You finna hear more about James Dolan than you ever wanted to hear about James Dolan. These Knicks contract discussions, because Cat's up for a new deal. Mitchell Robinson is up for a new deal. Jose Alvarado's up for a new deal, and Josh Hart is up for a new deal. You better figure out a way to keep Cat and keep Josh Hart. Outside of that, I think Mitchell Robinson's gone. Outside of that, I think Jose Alvarado will probably take a cheap deal. The kid's from New York. He's having the time of his life if you watch this parade. So James Dolan, go away. Go, James Dolan, please go back. Go back. Go build another sphere somewhere. I'm sure LA could use one, or Chicago could use one, or New York can use one. I'm sure there's another place that could use a sphere, man. Go get distracted by something else. Because you're already throwing a monkey wrench in what is fun. And of my offseason of watching guys like OG and Anobi be high as a kite on Good Morning America. Like, these guys are going to be high or drunk everywhere this summer. And I want to enjoy that without thinking about James Dolan, man. I want to enjoy that. Tomorrow's a big day for the city of Chicago. What's happening in Chicago tomorrow? If you mean today, B-Tom? Today is the opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Library. That's happening right now, actually. The opening ceremony is today. But we got to James Dolan sucks. James Dolan sucks hard, man. And I don't care where you stand politically. Bad owners are bad owners. James Dolan is a bad owner. Yeah, okay. The Obama Library, the opening ceremony is today. And it will be available to the public tomorrow. I didn't make a banner for this. I didn't. But I told y'all before the show started that today was an emotional day for me. And because it was brought up, I'm gonna share something about Barack Obama and what's happening on the south side of Chicago, where I'm from. The high school I went to is less than a mile from where this center is being put up. I grew up 2 blocks, literally 2 blocks away from where Barack Obama's house currently sits. This is surreal to me as a young man who grew up on the south side of Chicago with no real aspiration to be anything other than like a basketball player or a rapper or a actor. These far-reaching, obtainable goals. To see that for future generations, for my children, for your children, regardless of their color, regardless of their race, to now be able to look up and have the Barack Obama Library reside on the south side of Chicago is something utterly miraculous. The Barack Obama Library can be seen from a place called O Block. If you're familiar with O Block, I mean, you got to go on the roof, but if you're familiar with O Block is probably one of the more notorious gang neighborhoods in Chicago. And for this to be within viewing distance of that, as much as people try to say, "Oh, see, look, that's inspiration for kids who don't want to be a part of what happens in O Block." What that building can represent and will represent going forward is one of the most remarkable things this country could ever do and put together. I honestly believe the center and what it can provide for that community, what it can mean for that city, is what Barack Obama meant for so many non-white people in this country. Hope. It represents opportunity. And I know some people may not see it like that, and some people may see this as political. This isn't political. Representation matters. And if you can see a person look like you doing something, then there's a great chance you think you can do more. I say that because hold on. One of the things I will tell you about me per se, like I wanted to be around microphones because I saw the Martin. You remember Martin, the show? Martin Lawrence, the comedian, had a show on Fox called Martin. And Martin was a radio host. That's when I first really got a wind of what this did and what this was. WZUP. Now, that wasn't even real. That wasn't even real. But seeing him do that led me to Tom Joyner. Seeing him do that led me to Steve Harvey having a radio show and being a comedian. Johnny Red Kerr. Like, there have been so many examples of what representation can mean if you see something that looks like you. And I think the Barack Obama Library is an opportunity for the city of Chicago to change the narrative about the people who live in it. Today, watching this ceremony and seeing out on that lawn and seeing Black people as far as the eye can see, in my hometown, in my city, in the neighborhoods, in the streets that I walked, in the park I grew up playing basketball in, less than a mile away from that is the beach. The beach is disgusting, by the way. But nonetheless, the 53rd Street beach, I grew up going to that. I grew up going to that beach. So this it's hard to watch. It's emotional for me to watch because it takes me back to when in 2008 in Grant Park, the night he won, and I've never seen so many Black men crying of happiness, tears of joy. This is not a political speech. This is not a political soapbox moment for this show. This is a moment of me telling you about an inspirational thing that I saw this morning. I hope that at one point in time, we all can find inspiration in things around us, because in this country, and whether it be on this podcast or in your neighborhood, the true way to change what is happening in the world is to do it with the person right next to you. It's harder for you to change what someone thinks in Texas if you can't change what someone thinks in El Cajon. It's hard to change what someone thinks in Montana if you can't change what somebody thinks in Santee. You see what I'm saying? So as a community and as a group, we can all, grow and do better. And I hope that going forward with the erection of this library, that that's a small attempt. That's a small attempt at something much larger for the people of Chicago, for young men who grew up like me in a gang culture, in a violent culture, to see that somebody who, I could literally run. Well, you can't run past his house now because of the Secret Service. I would pop your ass. But to grow up in so close, in such proximity to something that would turn out to be so great is a sign that, it could be you too. Not Bono, you too, but you too as an individual. So shout out to that, man. Big day on the south side of Chicago. The storm came early, so it's nothing but sunshine and entertainment on the south side of Chicago today, man, and I'm happy for that. So shout out to Barack Obama, and shout out to the people of Chicago on the south side. And I'm definitely going to the library. I can't wait to take my kids there. I think you guys should check that out as well. Let's talk. All right, now let's do a chat. Let's see what we got in the chat today. Let me see. Tatis is balling. Shout out to B Tom. We touched on that. Graham says the bad contracts for the next decade. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see what else. Padres will try to be sellers, but they don't have the quality pieces to stock up for future years. Yeah. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. I mean, you're not trading for the Manny contract. You're not trading for the Bogarts contract. They're not trading Tatis. They're not trading Merrill. What are you getting for what you got? What are you selling? What are you selling? If there were a store, what would somebody want to come in and buy? Hurry up and buy. What you going? If you're shopping, if you're shopping, I'm just saying, if you're shopping in a store, and let's call the stores Padres, Padres supply. Padres refill and supply. What are you selling? JD says Michael King. You're selling Michael King? For what? To whom? I guess to whom is not a question you can even answer. But for what? What would you expect to get from Michael King? Nick Pavetter's hurt. Like, I'm answering your questions as they pop up, JD. Nick Pavetter's hurt. Again, that's an injured player who you now want to risk. That's the Tariq Skubal conversation all over. Nobody's taking Jake Cronenworth. He's got a concussion and a 150-something batting average. And a fat contract. I think of these pieces, Michael King is the most likely. If I go into Padres store and I got my shopping cart, Michael King is probably the only thing I'm walking out with. Michael King is probably the only thing I'm leaving out with at Padres Costco. That and because it's Costco, how much are you really going to get for him? You say get whatever you can. But then how are you improving? And here's the conundrum with these contracts. Here's the issue with these contracts. Because you don't know if you can unload them, you don't really know what you want to get back in return outside of pitching, because where are you going to play these guys? Like, for instance, for me, in my opinion, we should have seen Ethan Salas by now. He can't do worse than what they've got going. Try something. Try anything. Try something. Throw whatever you can to see what sticks, see what lights a fire, see what puts this club in a blaze. I don't know what it is. Hey, Biggie, we don't want nobody from that Giants bullpen. We don't want that. We don't want that. Them Genesis hats coming down here, buddy. No, we don't want them at all. You can keep that. Listen, JD. I don't think I can 100% guarantee you Michael Jordan is in town, Tito. The JD says the season doesn't matter, so I don't care what happens. I think it does matter. They're not out of everything. And this is where I'm talking about you can still turn this around. You can still turn around this season, because I honestly believe you can get Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. to lead this organization. You can get Fernando Tatis Jr. to lead this organization. You can get what you have going in the right direction. You're not going to win the division. You can make the wild card. And to add another postseason play to this organization under new ownership is the best thing that could possibly happen as of where we stand right now on June 18th. Listen, man, if we don't know if I told you the Knicks were going to win the championship this year, in the equivalent of the NBA season in January, if I told you in January the Knicks were going to win the NBA championship, you would have laughed in my face. Because at that point, people were telling you Oklahoma City was going to repeat and nothing was going to stop it. So, JD, I'm not in the boat of throwing away the season, because what you have invested in this roster, you have to spend that money anyway, so why not try to compete with it? Two, once you make it in the playoffs, there's no telling what could happen. I never thought the Toronto Blue Jays would give the Dodgers a run for their money, but they did. We have such revisionist history. We have such revisionist history for this organization and for baseball in general. We forget that the Dodgers struggled in the postseason, in the World Series particularly. They struggled to hit. And if the Toronto Blue Jays didn't make bonehead play after bonehead play after bonehead play, they would be champions. And we would be talking differently about what happened with the Dodgers. But they didn't. The Dodgers won. There was doubt in almost every series the Dodgers played in, with the exception of the one against Milwaukee. Outside of the Milwaukee series last year, if I remember correctly, there was doubt at every level for the Dodgers in the playoffs. So if you're not in it, and a starting pitcher goes down, because they're, again, the Dodgers are on their third season of deep playoff play. Grueling baseball. You could snap something, you could tear something, you could pull something the day after you get into the postseason. So this idea of, they've already won it, I disagree. I disagree. And you'll never know if you don't get in it and try. So I can't buy, JD. I'm sorry. I can't take that rat with you, dog. I can't take that rat with you at all. I can't. I gotta see this through. I would rather them get into the playoffs and lose and then work from there. I agree with. See, Biggie sees what I saw. The Blue Jays were the best team in the East, and the Jays choked. The Dodgers won because they had experience and they took advantage of the other team's mistakes. 100% true. 100% true. There were many opportunities for the Blue Jays to walk away with that World Series title, and they choked at each opportunity. To be the champion, oftentimes you have to beat the champion, and they could not do it. They couldn't do it, man. So I don't. This idea that it's already over. Kyle Tucker has been borderline a bust. They just have so many good players. They have so many good pitchers. But again, when you get in the postseason, all that changes, man. All that changes. So I would prefer to have an opportunity to knock them off. I would prefer to play them and have them beat me. Because you never know. You never know. Manny could bat 120 all season. Somehow you drag that corpse into the postseason, and it might wake him up. Because when the postseason, everything starts at 0. So you're saying there's a chance. WVC says, should Preller go all out this season with this production? As we've talked about before, and get who? I know you're late to hear it, VC, but to get who? That's the question. Who are you trading for? What are you trading to get what you want? The farm system's pretty much, got a couple bullets in the chamber, but we don't even play those bullets, so why would anybody else want them? So I don't think Preller's selling anything, man. I don't think Preller's selling anything. We'll talk about we'll talk about it. But again, yeah, Graham. During the transition in ownership, okay, we're in a tough spot, man. We're in a tough spot. And this is why I'm saying the guys you have to hit. The $300 million contract guys you have on your roster, they got to start hitting. You're changing in ownerships, and within that, there's a gigantic dark cloud ahead of you called the lockout. Because that's happening. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, in 94, 96, I think it was 94. Oh, see, they're going to be they said all this about a salary cap in 94. And yeah, man, that's before the Dodgers had guys deferring money. That's before the Dodgers were giving guys $200 million a year. So that sounds good, right? I think that there's going to be a massive lockout in baseball because the players do not want a salary cap. Too many owners want a salary cap. I went over this a couple of weeks ago. The floor, the teams that would be under the proposed floor are far more than the teams that would be over the cap. So there will be arrows flying in every direction during these CBA negotiations. The poor teams are shooting at the teams with money. The teams with money are looking down and laughing at the teams with no money that are under. More than half the teams are under the salary cap floor. The players don't want a salary cap because they don't want to be, but every sport has a salary cap, man. Baseball is the only sport without a salary cap, and because of that, 4 or 5 teams start the year with a chance, and 10 to 15 teams start the year with absolutely no chance of winning the World Series. That's bad for the sport. It just is. It's bad for the sport. Yeah, you'll have your Diamondbacks jump up here and there. You'll have your Royals will have their run. Tampa Bay will show up every now and then. But, the Brewers are a fighting bunch that make the playoffs but never win anything. It's just, you're in a rough spot, man. Baseball is in a rough spot, man. There's way too much money floating around for these guys to now, want to lose money over not wanting a salary cap. They're not saying you can't pay people a lot of money. They're just saying one team can't pay everybody a lot of money. Sometimes you cannot lose good trying to get perfect. And I think what baseball is about to do is sabotage the good for trying to get perfect. In a negotiation, both sides are probably upset that they didn't get what they want, but there's a solution at the end of the day. And with the San Diego Padres and these contracts, and people talk about them being sellers or them being buyers, I don't think they have much to sell. And with the future being as cloudy as it is, what are you buying? What are you buying? Who's doing and who's paying at the register? Because again, the ownership hasn't been approved yet. And it won't be by the deadline because the owner said it won't happen until later in the summer. So at the deadline, who's paying the bill? If you're talking about acquiring Tariq Skubal, who's paying the bill on that? It's rough, man. This has been rough. This has been a rough baseball season, man. It really has been. And it's June, man. It ain't even July 4th yet. We ain't even halfway through this thing. So that's why I hope we can turn this around. My only hope is that we can fix this. My only hope is that we can right the ship, man. Because I promise you, doing this to the end of the season, nah, bruh. Nah, this we're gonna be talking a whole lot of World Cup. We're gonna be talking a whole lot of Trump mini camp. We're gonna be talking a whole lot of NBA draft, summer league. I'm gonna try to go to the summer league, by the way, this year. We have a lot of conversations about a lot of other things, man. Because I know y'all don't want to sit through this. You can go to the games because the stadium's awesome, the weather's great, the food's fantastic. I don't blame y'all for going. But if they can't put something together, come on, man. I'm John Brown. This has been the John Brown Podcast. As always, you can always hit me up at the Sebastian. Well, that's my actual email. You can hit me up at the John Brown Podcast at gmail.com if you want a long form, have a conversation, or you want to be a part of the show. You have something to say. You want your face on here. Or you can subscribe to the show on YouTube if you're new to the program. And shout out to all the people who joined us today or who were able to see the program via X, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Until then, man, I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Be safe and have some fun.